All right, Gerard, I'm going to give you a bottle of water. We're going to do another 8-sided blog. How's that?
What? All right.
Welcome back to the 8-sided blog, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. I'm in space too long. I'm in space.
Well,
Space madness.
Space madness. It's been hot this week in Los Angeles.
Hot.
We've had scheduling issues, we've had logistic issues, and one of the things that always becomes a sort of forefront theme for me when life tries to make a show too challenging to proceed is just the show must go on.
Must go on.
And,
Must.
well, I don't know. I mean, one of the things that East Coast theater people always sort of wind up talking about when they move out to California is all the things they did for a show that other people wouldn't do. You know what I mean? When I first moved out here, I'd talk about the, funerals I skipped, the weddings I skipped because I had a call. Do you have any stories like that you want to share? Any thoughts on that subject you want to put out there, Mr. Marzilli?
No, I do not.
You do not?
I don't know if I don't know if I've gone to say that I've skipped any funerals.
Mm-hmm.
I've known a whole lot of people who have died. Luckily, a few, but I've always been able to go. I will say that as early as age 11, I was on stage with like 105-degree fever.
Mm-hmm.
In The King and I, playing the Prince of Siam, having to order people around in using my diaphragm and my command voice. So.
Why did you not leave that show? Why did your parents not pull you out of that show right then and there?
Because I was a madman, and so were they. They saw that I really wanted to do it, and my parents, I think, also had the idea. My dad's from sports as well, and like that you got to push on through. You got to check in with yourself and make sure it's not like, it's not just totally destructive, but sometimes you can just push on through. Like sometimes you can make it happen. It's important. You have a responsibility to other people. People are counting on you, to make it happen, because you all support each other like a team,
So on that subject of, and I'm asking loaded questions, I understand that, but on the subject of, your people are counting on you, you're part of a team. What about the argument that, okay, so you're part of a team, but this isn't brain surgery. It's not like the world's going to end if the show doesn't happen. You refund people's money. What's the big deal?
What are you talking about?
Who are you and where's Tenny?
This concept is alien to me.
Yeah.
No, honestly, because you can't, to be perfectly honest, there were no understudies where I was.
Mm-hmm.
No one could go on and do it. You would have to cancel the show, and that sucks, if a kid really wants to do something, so, so that, I don't know, that's why. Mm. And when you find something that, like, your kid really wants to do, even through that, you keep them in it. Like, unless they're really at, risk for themselves. But no, I was a mess. Like,
I was at one of my friends is a musician by the name of VK Lynn. She's in a band called the Spider Accolades.
Mm.
And for anybody who's interested, they're sort of a 90s alternative band with goth undertones and a lot of musical range because they're all really strong musicians and they'll get bored easily if they don't challenge themselves. They do all kinds of different stuff within that. But I think if you're interested in like Concrete Blonde, for example, they sound a little bit like Concrete Blonde. They're not so different that you could put them both on a show and it would make sense. I went to see VK at Hotel Cafe 2 weeks ago, and she had one of the worst cases of laryngitis I have ever seen.
Mm.
And she fucking did that show anyway. She worked through every song but one, and the one song she didn't do, it was because it was going to put her vocal cords at too much risk, and you want to make sure you're around to do the next show. But at the end of the day, you don't tell a room full of people, thanks but no thanks, go on home, we'll catch you sometime later. They are trusting, there's something about culture where if you bring a bunch of people together and you don't give them what you promised, okay, maybe they're not going to be upset at you, but they're not going to trust you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe they won't condemn you for it, but
they should.
They should. It changes the relationship. It changes the relationship. It's called showing up for a reason. You know?
Show.
You show up. You show up. Exactly, because it's about...
You don't show down.
You don't show down, but you don't do something else up. You show up, because for shows...
Sometimes you have a showdown.
That's true.
If you don't show up.
That's true. I was at a... in high school, one of the most invigorating performances I ever saw was a production of Once on This Island, which is all dance and singing. The entire cast came down with laryngitis. And everybody's voices were torn to shit, and everybody was on vocal rest for the whole week, so nobody in the cast could speak for the entire week. They just wrote notes and, you know what I mean, made it through class without talking. And they had 2 shows on Friday and 2 shows on Saturday. And I caught the second Friday show. And they were sweating when they walked out on stage. Everybody was a mess. Apparently people were coughing up blood in the dressing room.
Sweet.
But it was one of the most urgent performances I have ever seen, and you couldn't take your eyes off it. It was mesmerizing, and it was magnificent. And then half the cast got taken away in ambulances at the end of the show. You know, they went to get checked out, but everybody was fine in the end. It was okay. But you know, I am definitely a proponent of not overextending a production, but you've got to be ready, I think. And the reason why, anyway, it's been on my mind. I've been thinking a lot about it because of the brain damage, because all the shit that I've been going through, and it just seemed like a good time to talk to the audience about it. Because, number one, we're not going to not show up, ever. And number two, I think if anybody's thinking about a career in film or entertainment, but they're not ready for that kind of commitment, if they look at it as something that's fun to do, you know what I'm saying?
It's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not.
So you guys know, it was like 100 degrees, literally, not kidding, outside. It's cooled down a bit, but apartments in Los Angeles, if you don't live here, bake. And we're running the AC in the other rooms, but we do not have it in this room, and I'm under hot lights.
Yep.
And I'm in a spacesuit. Well, a flight suit at least. So, yeah.
And I guarantee this is not the most physically or emotionally tough thing you've ever done in front of a camera. I'm positive it's not. I know it's not. I've demanded harder things from you myself, I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean...
Shit.
I've done harder shit in horror movies sometimes, but there's very intricate, like... There's specific work going on here that's difficult.
And the other thing, and you brought up the horror movies, the other thing is that in demanding that everybody shows up, it is the responsibility of a director and a producer and all of the crew and of each fellow cast member to make sure that the showing up is worth it.
Yeah.
You've got to put on a fantastic show. If you're going to ask somebody to
show up, stand out all a day in the desert, fucking covered in dirt and blood, and like, you know, yeah, emotionally fucking torn to pieces by the scene, then like better
physically wrecked. It had better be
physically
awesome.
and emotionally wrecked. Yeah.
It had better be awesome. Make it amazing. So, that's all I've got. Do you have any stories, any extra thoughts on that subject? I mean, you know, one thing I will say, you know, is that we shot the Starmind record, not the Starmind record, we shot SAS Times Acceleration 2 weeks after my brain injury. I directed that production on my hands and knees under Johnny Durango's camera, and Gerard was my hands and feet that day. Every time I needed to touch something, pick up something, move something, Gerard went and did it for me because I was physically incapable.
Which is funny because I have like zero memory of doing that. Like
you came in all day. You was like you were.
I remember having fun. I remember like I have zero memory of like you being that bad off. Like I don't even remember. Like I remember Johnny was there. I don't know.
Do you remember me being there at all?
What?
Do you remember me being there at all?
I think so. Yeah.
Johnny was there. It was fun. Danielle was there. Yeah. Tybee was there. Pretty sure Caitlin Meyer was there.
Somebody was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Caitlin was there doing boom stuff. Yeah.
And Mr. Tennyson E Stead was there directing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was below eye level. So, I just... And this has definitely been one of those weeks where both Gerard and myself have had to step up to that plate, and
and there are 2 more weeks coming.
we have a
get progressively harder over the next 2 weeks.
These productions are going to get rigorous. They're going to get tough, and it just seemed like a good time to check in and sort of bring those issues back up, because it's been a while since we've talked about them on the blog, and I thought I'd have Gerard bounce some of that stuff back at you, because otherwise it's just me being a crazy man screaming at the mountain.
There you are.
So instead I'm just going to scream at you. So that's what I've got to say. If you're thinking about a career in entertainment, really take a step back and here's what it comes down to. Passion is not a good enough reason to do this. If you're going to get into entertainment, it has to be the thing that you would be willing to do to help others for free. It can't just be the thing you do that fulfills you.
Passion is for lovers.
Yeah,
not for fighters.
Yeah, that's right.
Fighters get the job done.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. If you guys are enjoying these 8-sided blogs, please give us a thumbs up. Yeah, just like that. And there's a subscribe button right over there. Thank you, Gerard. Give us a subscribe if you want to see. Declassified itself is the story of the Bureau of Applied Defense Development, which is an institution under the government in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s doing Cold War and space race secret stuff that they shouldn't have been doing. And
boys, you never should have been doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we are chronicling those efforts, those fictional efforts of the Bureau of Applied Defense Development. This is Project Icarus. It's the first project of the Bureau, and it's the story of a man we launched at Saturn's moon of Titan in 1977 and then basically forgot about. And his job is to make sure that the landing happens, that all the things that go wrong in space flight are dealt with, and that we actually achieve what we set out to achieve with the program, even though nobody else cares anymore. It's a tough job, and we'll find out today just how tough. Does that sound about right to you, Mr. Marzilli?
Yep. All right, let's find out how tough it is.
Let's find out how tough it is. Enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to 8-Sided Films for more Declassified and for more 8-Sided blogs. Have yourself a magnificent evening. Take care. Bye-bye.